Hello, my lovelies, and welcome back. This is Manic Maiden ASMR, and I am here to give you another Mexican urban legend. And our today's main story point is called the Mexican Bus. Now, I have never in my life heard of this story before, so anything you hear, I'm hearing it with you for the first time. So, as always, this story was created on Scary for Kids. I am not the author, I am not the writer. I have never seen a Mexican bus in my lifetime. So, let's dig into it and see what it's about. Now, the Mexican Bus is a ghost story about a dangerous mountain road in Mexico and an accident that killed everyone who was traveling in that bus. Today, if you're traveling in Mexico between the city of Toluca and the town of Ixtapan de la Sal, there is a lovely or terrifying highway that makes the journey quick and easy. However, years ago, anyone making that journey was forced to travel along a dangerous and winding mountain road. On one side of the narrow road, there was steep vertical rock, and on the other side, there was a sheer drop. One evening, many years ago, a bus departed from Ixtapan de la Sal as usual, making the familiar journey to Toluca. It was an overnight trip, so the passengers on the bus took the opportunity to get some much needed rest. When the bus reached the base of the mountain, it started to slow climb up the slope without any problems. Very off topic, but if anyone who has tried driving for the first time, or even just learning how to drive, or even some experienced drivers, we know how terrifying it is to climb up a long hill. Like, you don't know if you're gonna fall backwards, if the car is gonna go reverse. It's just a very scary experience from my own personal experience. So, most of the passengers had made this trip many times in the past, and they noticed nothing out of the ordinary. When the bus reached the highest point on the mountain, it began to rain cats and dogs, and the driver negotiated the dangerous curves as the road descended. So this is like, my god, it's like a one of those amusement park rides where you're at the very top and it just suddenly stops. This is basically the same thing, but you're actually stuck. Well, the bus riders are actually stuck too, if you think about it. So, some very serious accidents had occurred on this stretch of road, and many of them had been fatal. The bus began its descent in heavy rain, and the road was slick and wet. The passengers became a little nervous when they realized that the bus was picking up speed, because this was very unusual. Some of them called out to the driver, but the driver didn't respond. The bus got faster and faster and became more and more frightening. Suddenly, the driver called out, "The brakes are failing! The brakes are failing!" The bus was traveling at such a high speed that it became impossible to control. In the blink of an eye, they reached a curve and the driver swerved. The bus skidded off the cliff and plunged into the void. It tumbled down the rocky slope and smashed into the jagged rocks below. Many of the passengers were killed instantly in the crash. Others lay unconscious and bleeding in the wreckage. Then, the bus caught fire, so it wasn't even bad enough that they plummeted to their deaths. It also had to catch fire. They were just so unfortunate, I'm sorry. And within minutes, the bus was completely consumed by the flames. Nobody heard the chilling cries of the surviving passengers, and they all died in the most dreadful and horrible way imaginable. Later that night, the police located the site of the crash and called an ambulance. But unfortunately, there was just no point because everybody was already fried to shish kebabs. There were no survivors. Well, the bodies of some passengers lay strewn about on the sharp rocks. Oh my god, can you imagine how terrifying and traumatizing that must have been for the police officers? The bodies of others lay charred inside the smoky wreckage. Ever since that day, people have reported seeing the old bus traveling late at night on the road from Ixtapan do La Sal to Toluca. They say that if you hold out your hand, the bus will stop for you. As in, if you're traveling, whether on foot, by car, whatever, and you like put your thumb out like how most hitchhikers do, you see the ghost bus magically appear and stop waiting for you. The doors will open when you approach it, and you will notice that the bus is old but still in good condition. Even if the bus seems to be full, there will always be one empty seat. If you sit down, you will feel a strange emptiness in the pit of your gut. You realize that something is amiss, something is very wrong, something is not adding up here, y'all. Despite the late hour, nobody on the bus is ever asleep. All of the men, women, and children are wide awake, staring straight forward, but nobody ever says a single word. There is just a heavy silence permeating in the air. A few minutes later, the bus conductor will walk down the aisle, checking the tickets. You prepare the money to pay for your ticket, but the conductor just passes you by. Did he see you? Did he say whatever? Did he say they're not paying me enough to confront anyone here? Like, what was that for? You arrive at Toluca smoothly, but after midnight, the driver stops the bus before arriving at the bus terminal. Then, he turns to tell you that you have to get off. The journey is not finished, and you don't understand why, but you obey. While everyone else stays seated, you get up and walk down the aisle. As you pass by the driver, you attempt to pay for your ticket, and he waves away your money. Now you see, I wish most drivers were ghost drivers because can you imagine getting a free ride like that? I cannot relate. There is no charge, says the driver. Go now and don't look back or you will never leave this bus. That wasn't ominous at all. Those who obey, who do not look behind, hear the sound of the door closing and the bus engine starting up and driving off. The disobedient, the edgy, the thrill seekers, the risk takers, the alternative kids who don't like entering the sunlight, who turn around, who see that the bus is really a charred wreck. Inside, the emaciated skeletons that line the seats are staring silently through the windows. The bus will disappear and you will die in an accident later. It is said that from that moment on, your ghost will be sitting in that bus for all eternity. So if by any chance you travel to Ixtapan do La Sal one day, do not risk journeying to Toluca at night, there is a chance that you will meet the ghost bus, a very high chance. And if you do, make sure you obey the driver's instructions. Otherwise, you'll be condemned to travel on that fateful bus for all of eternity. Wow, that was actually kind of scary. Like, I know sometimes I myself go hitchhiking because, well, I live for the rush, but I I've just never thought of a ghost bus before. I mean, I know I've watched a lot of paranormal activity movies and stuff, but I've never heard of this occurrence before. It sounds kind of interesting. I actually wouldn't mind encountering this Mexican bus in the future for, shits and giggles. But I would still be very, very terrified. I don't think I'll go by myself if I want to encounter this bus. I'll obviously drag my sister with me because if I'm gonna die, I'm not dying by myself. So, that being said, I really like this story. I like how it had a little bit of lore to it and some background, not just, oh, if you go to this place, you see this. It had layers to it. So, what was your favorite part in this story? Tell me in the comments below. And also, just how was your day? It's summer vacation, and I know a lot of people are traveling. So, those of you who are actually going to Mexico, please be very safe if you're traveling between these two places. Don't go at night, y'all. I cannot stress this enough. I hate traveling at night. I hate it, hate it, hate it. If you must, please go with someone. And if you do see this Mexican ghost bus, please do not get on. I don't know why this has to be said, but it just has to be said, I guess. Please, please, if you see a magical, terrifying bus appear from nowhere, please do not get on. And if you're that dumb enough to get on, please, please do not look back when you're leaving. It's for your own safety. If you don't obey the instruction. It's your ghost that'll stay there and not mine. So all that being said, thank you so much. This has been Manic Maiden ASMR, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.